Lyndon B. Johnson, our nation's 36th president, signed the Civil Rights Act on July 2, 1964. By passing the bill Kennedy started in '63, Johnson impacted the lives of millions of blacks, women, and the disabled around the country. It is one of the most influential bills in American history.
Batons, police dogs, and fire hoses. On July 2, 1964, the simple stroke of a pen proved more powerful in the fight for civil rights.
Leading up to the Civil Rights Act was 100 years of inequality towards Black Americans after they were freed from slavery. Segregation in the workplace, at school, on the bus, and in restaurants was still legal in the South and enforced everywhere. All of the peaceful protests that blacks were trying to do were brought down with police brutality and violence in events such as Birmingham or Birmingham, using fire hoses to beat people, and trampling down peaceful marches to Selma. But still, in events such as the Freedom Riders and the March on Washington, blacks were able to move forward and finally, after 100 years, get the bill signed.
On that day, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed into law landmark legislation protecting the basic rights of minorities. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibited racial discrimination in employment and education, and outlawed racial segregation in all public places and most private businesses.
Its purpose is not to divide, but to end divisions. Divisions which have lasted all too long.
With the Civil Rights Act came 11 titles. Here are 5 of the most influential titles. The first title was voting rights, which got rid of the Jim Crow laws set on African Americans by Reconstruction that had poll taxes, grandfather clauses, and any other voting restrictions. The second, third, and fourth titles had to do with desegregation of public facilities and education. No longer could whites ban blacks from restaurants, schools, or any other sort of public facility. The seventh act, possibly the most influential, was the Equal Employment Opportunity Act. The provisions of this Civil Rights Act forbade discrimination on the basis of sex as well as race in hiring, promoting, and firing.
Hold on, hold on, hold on, keep your eyes on the prize.
The great thing about the Civil Rights Act is that it not only impacted blacks, but also women, the LGBTQ+ community, the disabled, and many other minorities. The economic impact of the Civil Rights Act was obviously large. More blacks and women were integrated into their workplaces like never before, so both of those groups of people boosted ginormously economically. The Civil Rights Act did so much to change the lives of so many minorities socially as well. A huge social change in women's lives especially. The act helped to begin the feminist movement of the 60s, and many taboos about women such as sex, the pill, sexual abuse, etc. were becoming more into light. And for the first time in a while, there was an attitude towards changing these things instead of pushing them back. The same goes for the disabled and for the LGBTQ community. More and more issues were being brought up in our society.
A Herculean struggle by civil rights advocates and the beginning of a long road toward reconciliation.
And although there are still issues with race, gender equality, and the LGBTQ community today, political leaders and rights activists fought very hard for the Civil Rights Act, and it's only shown how much impact it has had in society today.